All right, our last of our Office features. One of the items that is handy to know is called a watermark, and that is under Page Layout. There we go. And it's right here in the page background, and there are some default. Usually one of these is sufficient. Confidential, do not copy, or draft are kind of the most common. We'll see here at work, draft across a document that people want you to see, but it's not quite the final copy, so it's kind of a disclaimer that you would put on there to let people know this is not quite done, and that's called a watermark. Another tool that is very useful to know about is a header and a footer, and that is used if you want to put your name on a document and have it appear on every page at the top or the bottom, but you don't have to write it in and try to figure out how to get it on each page, messing with line spacing and stuff like that. Or maybe you want to do page numbering if you're typing a report and for college it's a 15-page report. You can set it so that it automatically numbers. I used to use it a lot when I was teaching full-time to have file names inserted at the bottom of the document so I'd remember the location of where I had stored the file names. So under the insert, you'll see the header and footer section. And if we click on header, there are a few different styles of header. And there is the header. It's showing. You can insert a page number if you want that to be on the top of the page or wherever you would want that to be, and where on the top of the page or on the left, and maybe you would put your name with a space. And on the yesterday's video I had mentioned there was a way if you were doing a title page to say that it's the different first page. This is what I was talking about. It's the different first page. When you click on that, you'll notice it disappeared. So that means it won't print out on the first page, but it will appear on the second and remaining pages. And then when you're done, you just close header and footer, and there you can see it's kind of grayed out. You can't really get at it, so that's how you know it's there, but it's in the header and footer. So I can just bring that back up again, and when I click on that, I can make that go away. And a footer is very similar. We go to insert, footer, kind of the same idea, except if it being at the bottom, at the top, it's at the bottom. And you can actually jump back and forth between them if you're working on a document and you have both of them. And I'm just going to close that now. Bullets are under the Home menu, and inserting a bullet's fairly easily done. But did you know that you can customize a bullet? If I say define new bullet, you can choose, if I go to symbol, any number of different symbols that you would want to have appear as your bullet. And you can actually even change the font and find a different font that you would, different fonts will have different symbols depending on what the font is. So you can choose any number of these, and then that would become your symbol. And then you can choose to have that be your symbol. You can also use a picture, and there are many pictures that you can use to choose to be your bullet, what your bullet would look like. So if that's what you choose, and then when you enter, you can see that has created the bullet in that picture, and that's what that looks like. So that was under bullet, define new bullet. So you can choose any different number of bullets. Comments. You've been seeing me making some comments, and a few of you have commented back. That is under the Review menu, and you can just click under the comment section, New Comment, and here you can type a comment to someone. And this is used quite a bit in my job. I'll see people that are working on a shared document, and they will make comments back and forth because then they will not be there when the final thing is done. You can kind of let somebody know what you're thinking without having it be what the actual comment is. And I'll go review and delete that comment, and then it's gone. The next item is to increase or decrease the indent. So to indent something, you can make a tab and then indent, or you can use these two little buttons here under the paragraph, and they just indent a paragraph at the default of 1/2 of an inch. So if I click on it, I decide I wanted to have this increase, decrease indent underneath comments. I can just hit that once and it moves it in 1/2 of an inch, or move it back and forth in that way. And this is a useful one to know how to use. The shapes and shapes with text, under Insert, there's the Shapes tool, and you can pick any of these and then draw, and that becomes the shape, which is pretty easy to work with. Whatever the shape is. What if I do another one? Shape, this is one that maybe you've seen before. Click, draw. But one thing that's kind of cool is instead of having to do a separate text box and place it over the image and so on, you can just say, oh, here it is, add text. And you'll notice you'll get the little cursor blinking there, and then you can type in whatever your text is. And then you can highlight that and work with that on whatever size you want it to be, if you want it to be a little bit bigger, and so on. So it's a really easy way to add some text to a drawing tool, a drawing item that you made. So that was add text. When you right click, add text, and then the cursor will show up and you can start to make text inside that shape and adjust the size and the color and so on. The last item is to shade a paragraph, and you probably already know how to shade with the highlighter, but in the highlighter you're only limited to certain colors, these colors here. If you instead, oops, go to, sorry, this is going a little crazy here, to fill the shading fill bucket, you have all of these colors and even this more colors button on the bottom, and these colors show up, and you can get into the custom, and then you have any number of colors that are on there. So if you move this up to that, let's see, we'll go with kind of a green instead, so you can see it's a little more noticeable, and then that becomes the shaded color for those words. So that was to select something, go to the shade bucket, choose one of these colors or do a custom color, and you could choose any number of colors. We'll do a purple that you want, and then that becomes the highlighting for whatever it is that you highlighted. Alright, so take a few moments, give each of these a try if you haven't been trying the various tools out as you've been watching this presentation, and then tomorrow will be your test. Thanks.